Hey folks, nice to have you here. Welcome to yet another stream. This is going to be a short one, not one of the usual huge build videos, but I wanted to show you how Nixies are born. We've already missed the first critical part of this. So what happened was there's been a unicorn in my backyard, and it's been craving some cookies, and well, we started talking and stuff, and it asked me for these nice cookies that I had, and I shared some with the unicorn. The unicorn said, "Wait, I've got something special for you," and I was like, "Yeah, well, go ahead." And it pooped out this. I must have heard, like, it kept a straight face, but the size of this thing and the size of the unicorn kind of makes it obvious that this wasn't easy for the unicorn. And I think it's a terrific gift, and I was happy to keep it. Yeah, and I thought, why not desolder it and yeah, get the switches out. They should be fine because they're like unicorn poop, and I guess it all makes sense now. So I'm just going to be pulling off these keycaps. Like, not a lot of magic in these keycaps, so I guess some of the unicorn poop is just poop, and some of the unicorn poop is magic. Oh, that thing's like, these keycaps are. Oh, look at this! It even, like, it pooped out a key, and ooh, it's a fully working unicorn poop key, and even the like lock. Oh, yeah. See, I told you it was a pretty tight fit when it got out of the unicorn, and this must have been kind of part of what got broken in the whole process. But it's still pretty cute, these keys. Like, these keys look expensive. Look at this, like, Swiss made. Oh well, these unicorns, like, can't beat them. Yeah. These keycaps crack me up. Some are double shot, some aren't. You can see that. Oh, these are like plate-mounted Nixies switches. You can see that the plate has one of the first universal plates in history. This plate, you can have like a split key here, or you can have like a 2-unit stabilized key up there. Even though this is a bit more compact than the normal unicorn poop, the CT06, this one still has the exact same amount of switches, which is pretty neat. Look at this. It's got even, like, supports 2 switches here, or like 1 stabilized key once again. Let's look down here. Check this out. Oops. Oh yeah, and here we got some more stabilized keys. I used to be happy about all the stabilized keys I can get on these keyboards, but ever since I started getting my my screw-in stabilizers from GMK, there's nothing really to get excited about. Like, I'm more excited about another switch here instead of a stabilized 2-unit switch. But yeah, I think this is very close to the maximum amount of switches you can get from one of these. CT11 is the proper name for this kind of unicorn poop. Yeah, you can tell, like, it has kept a very weird diet, but yeah, let me just vacuum that off. Oh. as far as desoldering goes, this is as good as I want to make it look. Oh yeah, that lock wasn't really in there. Let's open her up. Flathead screws, like they really want to make me angry here. Flathead. So unfortunately these CT11s, they have a very brittle plastic and they love to crack open. Oh yeah, this is like the cable management they have. So over-engineered. Oh well, let's get this out as well. I know there's some people in the Nixdorf community, like the people who really dig the Nixdorf stuff, and they love these plugs. Like they would, yeah, do stuff for these plugs. I mean, if I could use them, I would totally use them myself. Like they look like something that you would plug into a Russian spacecraft. Apart from that, let's have a nice look here. The magic. 1998 January. Deep in vintage territory here. Oh, see, okay, yeah, we've got some more screws here. I'm just gonna throw this all into one bin. We've got some more screws down here. The best part about these switches is these dudes, like if there's any question about whether you should use PCB mount switches in a if you should use PCB mount switches with a plate mount, this one answers it all, because they do have PCB mount switches here, and they also plate mount them, and it's Nixies, so it's definitely true. Like it's the way to go. This is probably the first. I'm not going to use terms like that. This is probably a nice keyboard. Yeah, there you go. How daring. Okay, yeah. We actually just wanted to solder them. So let's check it out. We can look at some markings, yay. Tastatur CT11. 3rd of February 1988 is probably the production, like the date when this revision or PCB layout has been put into production. It's got a Lebenslauf here, which means basically a curriculum. Like it's got a CV down here. Only entries from 21st of March 1989. Yep. So let's get started. So I've got a strange way that I hold my my desoldering iron. I hold it like this, like upside down, so that the solder doesn't flow into the filter. And it feels like this is kind of giving me a little more desoldering time before I have to change the the filter. Plate mount desoldering is such a drag because you can't just peel the switches off. You have to get them out of the PCB and out of the plate at the same time. Maybe we can. Yeah, I don't wanna pry the PCB off. Oh well, I already lifted a pad here. I didn't want the pad to get sucked into the desoldering iron. Yeah, this is the Nixies PCBs are a bit more tedious to desolder compared to G80 PCBs. I think G80 are just the perfect desoldering PCBs. I used to jokingly refer to them as vintage black packing units because they're pretty much useless except for desoldering some nice switches. Like if you happen to like the PCB mount G80s, the old ones, like that's really good for you, but I personally can't bear with them. At this point, you might have realized that this is going to become a rather boring video, but I'm still going to do it. Because why should I sit through this whole desoldering session and not make you do the same? At which point, most of you probably like skipped 30 minutes of this video. But you don't get the same appreciation for vintage switches if you've never desoldered them. I would use a different tip for the diodes. Oh yeah, of course this thing is diodes. Because the pads used here are very slim. So I want to get something with a smaller diameter for the diodes, so that I can get closer to the wire and get a better heat transfer to the PCB. That's a compressor. this desoldering iron is it requires a compressed air to function, which makes it relatively calm as it is, like relatively silent. If you don't account for the compressor, for the compressor. And I just got a cheapo compressor from some handy market, from some tool shop, and just put it into the room next door, and just put the air hose through a hole in the wall. So this is the sound it makes from next room, like from a room next door. Let's put it this way. You can imagine how terrific, how terrible these things sound if you put them into your workshop. You should be wearing ear protection, something like that. I have a very similar compressor, also some cheapo thing, with a much higher power. With a much higher tank, like an air tank, that I use for sandblasting. Sandblasting has an insane amount of airflow going on, of course, like because you're basically just blowing compressed air at stuff, and it happens to have some blasting particles in it. So a larger tank is very beneficial if you want to do plenty of blasting. Yeah, and I have this in the same room as the sandblasting cabinet, which is my garage. So when I use those, I always wear ear protection. Otherwise, it's just very, very tiring to have this compressor rattling all the time. And the way I do my sandblasting usually, I don't know if you've probably realized that how these compressors work is they kind of build up pressure in a tank, and then you can like draw compressed air from the tank until it drops below a certain limit, at which the compressor is gonna jump on again and start filling the tank again with compressed air. So the best way I figured was to keep the compressor running, like just use the air until the compressor turns on, and then wait a moment for it to refill, and then immediately start, like before it even finished refilling, start using the compressed air again, and kind of keep using it while the compressor is running. So if you kind of balance that out well during sandblasting, you can keep the compressor running permanently, and you don't have these cycles of building up the pressure, depleting the pressure, building up the pressure, depleting the pressure, and instead you can just keep the compressor running and not waste so much time, like be a lot more efficient. The compressor is going to have some cool down periods anyway when you inspect the keycaps, or you change keycaps or something like that. So I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried about overheating the compressor. I mean, like a sandblasting session probably lasts for, I don't know, 5 to probably 10 minutes. I feel like I didn't clean out some of the joints here very well, so I'm afraid I'm gonna have to do some tricks here to get the solder out there. If you desolder a joint and you fail to grab all the solder from the joint, like this one, can you see it? Like this one's not this one joint here. It's not super. It's not all the way dark. You can still see some leftover solder in there, and you're not going to be able to heat it up and suck it out anymore now. You have to reapply solder and then suck it all out. If you don't get it in the first attempt, then you have to go again. Oh yeah, that was probably I didn't think that through. If you don't get it properly in the first go, then you have to reapply solder, heat it up all the way, make sure it's completely heated up, and then suck it out again. It doesn't help to just keep the heat on the joint and try to suck it out. I tried that a minute ago with one joint, and I fail every time. Like, I should be wiser than that. The funny thing is, we've only just done the switches. I haven't done the diodes yet. For a while I just used to not give a damn and just pull the diodes out, like with the switches. It doesn't hurt the switches, but it kind of leaves you with a messed up PCB, which I usually don't worry about. But with these CT11 Nixie keyboard, I don't want to do this. I'm probably gonna go and give it a nice treatment. Whoops, that's I hope the diodes will be easier. I think the biggest problem here is that there is like a little layer of oxidization, like a little. I think all the joints kind of got a little bit of dirt and I don't know, stuff that happened during the years on the joints, which hurt the the heat transfer. So even though the PCB isn't really super massive, still takes quite long to get the joints properly heated up. So funny to see what a nice keyboard this thing is. It's a plate mount with a universal plate, universal air quotes, and it has plate mounted switches, still uses PCB mount switches. It has screw-in stabilizers. These guys were setting the standard back in 1988. I wonder if they clipped the stabilizers too. Imagine being a keyboard designer in the late 80s. I mean, this must be a pretty epic job, right? You can like really spend some money on your designs. You can build some really exotic designs. You got all the manufacturers to choose from, all the different switches you can get. Very competitive market at that time. And then you might come up with something like this, which is something like 122 keycap keyboard. Okay, so now we've got something else that's very, very special, and that's Nixies solder. It's the best solder you can get. It makes your switches a lot more smooth. Just gonna get it out of here. So I'll be selling this at the same rate as Krytox lube. Some of that goodness. Okay, I'm gonna get this clean, then refurbed, and then we can use some real Nixies solder. It's the best solder, obviously, because it's super rare, and I will make up a very overinflated price for it, which just totally adds to how smooth it makes switches feel. Okay, let's get a smaller tip. Let's look here. This is quite a big tip. I'm gonna use this tip here. I hope I don't break it off. I broke a tip inside. Oops, that's okay, here we go. I haven't done that in a while, so I guess why not do it while everyone's watching. Okay, you can see it's heating up now. It took a moment to heat up the... What's going on here? Okay, let's work. Okay, diodes now. I hope they go faster. Oh yeah, they go much faster. Okay, let's give it a shot and let's see how these first 4 switches like to get removed. 1, 2, no, 3. This is one of the ones that didn't get the solder all the way out. And yeah, I'll have to put the other tip back on to fix this. Yeah, but well, generally speaking, we're on a good... We're on the right way here. Chip, 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 chip. Ah. Ah. Shouldn't be going too fast. Like, these boards still take it some time. It's probably also the PCB material here that can take a little more heat. like it distributes the heat more evenly than the cardboard that is used for the cherry G80s. Yeah. Whoops. Oh, they did the Alps thing here. They bent the legs. Like, I hate it when this happens. First drawback of this. Otherwise, perfectly built keyboard. I love to just have like it's even got the plate mounted to the case. I'd love to get an aluminium case to just mount this plate. That would be so epic. It's got diodes. It's got a nice compact layout. It's got a plate. It's got quite decent switches. Yeah, you could just mount the plate to a nice aluminium case. Maybe maybe Norbauer is gonna make one. I better keep these PCB plate units for the group buy then. Oh, it's just a shame. I guess there's like even tons more real forces out there these days than there are CT11s. I really wonder how many like small German companies still have like 30 or 40 of these keyboards in their basement and just have them rot away down there. And these companies, they usually don't, like, none of the employees is gonna think like, oh wow, I'm gonna take one of these home because these things are useless at home. So I guess that's why they end up on eBay so rarely. No one's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this home and use it on my computer, like with some of the other Cherry keyboards, like the other industrial Cherry keyboards that we get, where you think like, oh well, someone could have taken that home. Wow, but then again, we're also getting all these incredible IBM keyboards, and they're also not meant for home use. I'm not sure. Really hard for me to tell. Living in pretty much the only country that occasionally has a Nixie keyboard coming up on eBay, I shouldn't complain. Fun fact, almost all the Nixdorf keyboards I have looked into so far were made in Singapore. So I guess back in the 80s and 90s, Singapore was still a lot heavier into the whole IT hardware thing. I think this is also the time when creative labs got really big. I'm not really sure. It's so hard for me to tell how much is left of creative. Like I remember they were like the company for sound cards in the 90s. Like you either had a Sound Blaster or some generic cheapo thing in your computer. And even the cheapos were usually just emulating the sound blasters. So yeah, it was basically the brand. It was just a question which sound blaster you could afford. And nowadays, I think there's a lot of these integrated real tag, whatever, what you call them, like these integrated onboard sound cards. No one's really, like very few people are bothering to get a sound blaster. The ones who do, like, probably got nice high-end ones. Like you can get sound blasters for like $100 plus these days, like a $100 plus. I think I've seen like a $500 sound blaster, which was basically like a DAC. And I think they even got into video cards, like back when video cards were still super exciting. Like when you had a 3D card and you had a 2D card. I remember I bugged my parents to get me a nice Matrox Millennium, which was a pretty epic 2D card. So that was my graphics card, and then they released all these Voodoo 3D cards. So I was getting a nice Voodoo Voodoo 1 3D card to go with my Matrox Millennium, which was quite a neat setup. So a lot of panties dropped when I talked about my Matrox Millennium with the Pure 3D, the 6 megabyte version. Like Canopus, which was like another, I think it's a Japanese company. They made all these Voodoo cards with a little extra bit of memory on them. Like they made the Pure 3D and the Pure 3D 2. So the Pure 3D, when they had all these Voodoo cards out there, first generation, they all came with 4 megabytes of RAM, and the Pure 3D had 6 megabytes. Hell yeah. I think the whole 3DFX thing, I think it was bought by Nvidia, but I'm not sure. They didn't like do super well. I think other companies came up with integrated cards. I think ATI was one of the first. I'm not sure though. ATI was one of the first ones that came up with the integrated cards. Oh yeah, I think the Voodoo 3 3000 and 4000, I think was a thing. Was also 3FX cards with both 2D and 3D capabilities. Fun times. Yeah, and still not old enough for this keyboard. Like this keyboard happened another 10 years earlier almost. Yeah, pretty much happened another 10 years earlier. You can see it's like, it's so old. I think this keyboard must be from the Game Boy age. And when I say Game Boy, I really mean Game Boy. I don't mean Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color. The bent legs on these diodes drive me crazy. Why oh why? So random. They probably did this to keep the PCB and the plate aligned. Probably the PCB mount switches weren't strong enough, or the fit wasn't tight enough to hold on to the plate. So they thought, hey, why not bend some diodes? I should really get one of these, like one of these kids for adoption. Like I should adopt some kid and teach him how to desolder. So we're not what it was intended for, but I feel like it's a win-win situation. He gets to play around with some awesome switches, and I get some awesome switches desoldered. I think it's okay to say politically incorrect stuff now that we're 15 minutes. Oh my god, it really takes me an hour to desolder a CT11. I feel like a failure. Like a failure as a human being and as a desoldering person. Like if this was like an ancient Greek galley, and instead of rowing we were desoldering, I would have probably been whipped to death by the guy who kind of keeps an eye on the galley slaves. Maybe I should use like an even higher temperature and just destroy the shit out of this board. Gonna melt the joints before I even touch them. Fucking get the nozzle glowing. Yeah, that's what I should do. Totally. I'm getting to the point. Like. Oh wow, there's more Nixies solder. It's like gold. J'adore. Oh, this one's pretty clean. Like relatively speaking. Okay, let's see if we can like flip the nozzle back, like. Oh, there we go. Phew. Because I felt like this nozzle was giving me a pretty tight fit on the way there. Back to my best buddy nozzle. A little bit of maintenance. I've got some brass brushes that I sometimes use on these nozzles here to keep them clean, because I really don't want to have them stuck in there. Okay, so the fun part is I don't have a bin for my Nixies now. Where do I get a bin? Another well-prepared stream. There you go. Oh, this one's big enough. But this one obviously has an issue with one of the diodes. This is why I'm pretty ruthless. Nope. 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 I've seen these things sold on AliExpress as switch removal tools now. So either someone's been watching my videos and saw me do this, or yeah, someone got the exact same idea somewhere else. I don't know, has anyone else been using these for switch removal? I mean, they're great for the job, but I thought it was my idea, so I should be yeah, I feel like I should be getting 50% of the profits there for just taking a random tool off my bench. Well, the CT11 really makes you appreciate the switches, because you can't take them out the easy way. Another diode. Like, I thought I did a good job on the diodes. No sympathy for the diodes. Like, if they give me trouble, I'm just gonna pull harder. Huh. Ah, there we go, yeah. See, you can... Oh, that worked. Same thing here. That worked as well. Magic. Oh, we've got another one here. And here. Yeah. Let's see. No. Oh yeah, this one's got a lot of solder in there. It's very shiny. Okay, now this isn't gonna be so easy. Okay, there we go. Reapplied solder. Waiting for the heat. This is a good sound. Same here. I don't want to pull off the top part of the pad. Oh yeah. And ready for the... Yeah, I had to help a little there. The sound is catchy as I hope it would. And come on. Yep, there we go. Slurp them out. It really makes me doubt my desoldering skills. I shouldn't be doing this on video anymore. Okay, let me just at least take this one. No, not even a spacebar goes out easily. Holy. Oh yeah, this one needs some reworking. Sometimes there's just like the contacts just didn't get loose properly, and I'm uncertain if I can just apply more force or if I should be more cautious. This one's another slurp. Another slurp. Yeah. Like, I'm paying for my laziness. Do it right the first time. That's... Oh wow. It's also fun to apply solder just to immediately waste it again. You can clearly tell I'm an intelligent man when I do this. Yeah, I don't care for the diodes. Okay, this one's a stubborn one. Oh yeah. Okay, let's finish. Oh yeah, those are bad. else? Oh yeah, down here. I can't believe I didn't do the spacebar switch well. I thought I paid special attention to that one. This is like the real money maker. These spacebar switches are very popular. They are the Nixies of them all. Okay. Oh yeah, that's cute. The PCB is held in place by these clips here. So my theory that they used the diodes to do that is pretty much stupid. Oh, here we go. That is one massive, good-looking steel plate. Super amazing. Oh wow. It says something of 4th of November 1985. No clue how, when, and where, and why this is on there. I mean, you know that we're like more than an hour into a single desoldering video, I can also just finish the job here properly. Go ahead and earthquake. Come on. Sweet. Yep. They didn't just clip the stabilizers. I think they got their own custom sliders made. I have to keep a close look. I have to keep a close eye on them because I want to use these sliders in a build. The sliders, material-wise, look a lot like the material used for vintage black, like for true vintage, the vintages of them all stems. So yeah. Shut up. Yep. Okay. Yeah, thanks very much for watching. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, you've suffered enough. We've both done this. Oh yeah, this way around. This is a very nice CT11 keyboard PCB. Oh yeah, it's got another date code on here, 8852. So that's like 52. That's not a calendar week in which they should be making or designing stuff. Or maybe this was made in Singapore. I don't think they're like too overly excited about shutting down the whole Christmas New Year's time. So this might be a production date for the PCB. 1988, week 52. Makes sense. Would go along well with the other dates that we've seen. This is a very nice controller here. It's got like this little shield soldered on top, and I'm pretty sure if we can get this shield. Should we solder it off? Like, should we desolder it? I think so, yeah, we should. I sometimes feel like music's missing on my channel, but as soon as I put on background music, my videos get tagged. Because like, even if you get it like mildly playing the background. Oh wow, that's funny. Doesn't even have like, I thought it had like one of these UV light windows for EEPROM erasing. What is that? Like, that's such a cute part. Is it just a cover? Or is it something like a resistor or a capacitor? Like, it looks like a part that does something. Well, yeah, I might measure it and see if I can get any readings from the legs. So here, without the cover, some kind of controller, couple of caps, some nice cute diodes. This is the locky thing. Yeah. Oh, we spent enough time on this one. No, this time I really mean it. Thanks very much for watching. It's been fun getting the best out of this nice piece of unicorn poop. If you ever find a unicorn in your garden, you know what to do now. It's pretty obvious anyway. So just don't forget to desolder it. Kind of saw how a rushed desoldering job just means more work afterwards for you. So learn from my mistakes. Do a good desoldering job the first run, and you're gonna have a much better time. Yeah, thanks again, and take care, everyone.